What is going on, guys? So I have got a special video for you guys today. I got my brother here, Tim, who recently just graduated from Fort Jackson, and I got a family friend, Mose, over here who recently graduated from Fort Benning, right? So this video is gonna be really interesting because these got two fresh, very fresh soldiers. You can see by their head. He's a little bit better hairstyle over there, but they're super fresh out of basic training. So in this video, they're gonna kind of do most of the talking in this, and we're gonna be basically discussing the differences between Fort Jackson and Fort Benning. So without a doubt, one of the biggest differences about basic training from Fort Benning versus the other basic training posts is the females. There are gonna be some females every now and then at Fort Benning because that's a new thing. Whenever I first went to basic training at Benning, there was no females whatsoever. But the first thing we're gonna kind of discuss is the females and how that kind of played a different role in both of their experiences, because Tim had an entire female area, and then Mose did not have that at all.
So basically what it was with my company was we were kind of separated from the females, but they were all in our formations and stuff like that, and there was no separation when we went outside. Like, you were allowed to talk to females and all that stuff. You just weren't allowed to, do sharp stuff with them, basically. But up in the barracks or whatever. So up in the barracks,
What's sharp, Tim?
Oh, well.
They don't know what sharp is.
Okay.
What's sharp?
Okay, sharp is sexual harassment assault response program, and basically what it is
prevention, not program.
Prevention. My bad. Gosh. So up in the barracks, I was on the third floor with the females. And the only thing that separated the males from the females was just a metal door, like a double opening door or whatever, those two doors. And literally you could walk through that door at any time and nothing would happen because there was no alarm on it during the daytime. So it was kind of just a little chill thing. And some of the males would be stupid and they would go over there and talk to the females and all that stuff. But yeah, so I mean, the males and females, we were all connected basically in basic training at Fort Jackson instead of Fort Benning. At the beginning, I think you said all the females got separated from the males, and he didn't see any of the females basically the rest of the basic training for him.
Yeah, when I got to reception, I remember there was two females on my bus, and literally they were in a completely separate part of 30th. Here's one bay and here's another bay, and then way off in the distance, every once in a while you'd see a female walk out of this mysterious bay. It's off in the distance. But in my company in general, there were no females. And as far as I know, there wasn't any females in the company up the hill, and I only saw two females walking down the street. They had buzzed heads though. They looked really rough, for real. They looked like some rough people.
Hardcore. Not
yeah, they looked hard.
Not rough
hardcore.
as in but
no, they looked rough too. They looked like they've seen some stuff. They were in PTs, that arms bigger than mine, this big. It looks like they can do some push-ups. I'm not joking.
But some of the other things that I've noticed, as me and Mose have talked with weapons and everything, is for me having gone to Benning, we actually got to shoot a variety of different weapons. Tim apparently only shot the M4.
Yeah, all I shot was the M4 the whole entire time. It was such bullcrap. I came back here and I was like, Mose, what did you do in base training, blah, blah, blah. And he started telling me about freaking the M203 or whatever, and M4 or M249 and crap. And I was like, what? I was like, are you freaking serious? You gotta shoot something other than an M4? Literally the whole time basic training, all we shot was the M4. And it was just towards the end, it got annoying. You were just I want this thing out of my hand. So it kind of kept it a little boring. And that was one of the reasons why I wish I would've went to Fort Benning over Jackson. Cause obviously he went to Fort Benning, so he got to shoot all those different weapons and got to learn how to, operate them and stuff like that. So
yeah, we had a lot to do with machine guns. Did you get to shoot on auto?
No. We never.
For us, not everybody got to shoot on full auto, but most people did, because it was kind of the drill sergeants would come around and be put your weapon on auto, or either that, or he would come around with the extra mags for the day, and he'd start handing them out to the people who were still shooting, and he'd be just bust them out on auto.
Burn the rounds.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to do that so bad. That's why I always tried to be the last person to shoot, so I could get to shoot extra rounds, but they never let me do it.
So Mose, talk about the combatives, and then Tim can say, oh crap, I didn't get to do that.
Oh yeah. Well, the first day of combatives was pugils, and so pretty much what happened was everybody was like wondering if we were even going to do combatives at all, and then one night at CQ they were just like put out the mats or go get all the mats, and the next morning it was like pouring down rain, but we were underneath the CTA, so we put out the mats, and then they made us mop them down and everything, and they made us get in this weird uniform. It was like OCPs, but we tied the bottoms and we wore tennis shoes, and like we had on no tops. It was just the t-shirt, OCPs, and then you know, obviously no
shoes,
bracelets, no dog tags, no
we didn't wear shoes or none of that.
Velcro. Like we had to take everything off, except for when we took our tops off. Huh?
He was talking about, he's like, we didn't wear shoes. I was like, when you do combatives, which combatives, for those of you who don't know, like if you're doing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that, similar to like wrestling, yeah, they wore tennis shoes instead of their boots and didn't wear the whole jacket top and everything like that.
Okay,
So,
well that makes sense. I was confused on that part because I only got to do basically 1 day of combatives because
And it got cut off.
Yeah, it got cut off, and so I basically like half a day of combatives. He taught us like side mount, you know, and all that crap. And then he taught us basically like 3 moves, and when he stood up and he was like, all right, we're done with combatives for today. It's heat cat 5. You got to go back to the barracks. And we were like, are you freaking kidding me? And then when we got back to the barracks, they were like, all right, we're no longer doing combatives anymore. We're not going to learn combatives this cycle because the company commander said we're not doing that. And everybody in the whole entire company was like, what the heck? That's freaking bullcrap. And literally, so the whole battalion, basically, they just graduated 1,250 people who don't know how to fight. And now they're in the military. That's basically what they just did. So, yeah.
In the Army's defense, the odds of doing hand-to-hand combat is very low, but it is, in my opinion, pretty stupid how they have like combatives as like a thing, and then they just like don't teach you it.
Yeah, they just kind of wave it off.
Which is one of the positives to increasing like the whole basic training thing for infantry, once they shoot training that I talked about before, to 22 weeks in the future. So that is a positive. So hopefully they can actually do some more fun stuff like combatives and do some more weapons training and stuff like that. But we're gonna talk about drill sergeants real quick, and then we're gonna head over and talk about the forge. And so you'll talk about the forge for Fort Jackson is something you do for like the final FTX, and then at Benning it's something a little bit different. So they can real quickly talk about that. But drill sergeants is something that I think is different. It's kind of like a case-by-case basis, but at Benning, it's a little bit different in a way. So if Mose, you wanna expand on that?
Yeah. So the drill sergeants, I don't know. Did you have any infantry drill sergeants at all?
Oh yeah, I had a couple infantry drill sergeants.
So it was the same here. We had I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 infantry drill sergeants in our entire company, and we started getting some reserve drill sergeants too to fill in the spots of the other ones because they had this filler company or something. But for the most part, our drill sergeants were, I don't know if they were like not supposed to cuss, but like they were cussing all the time, and the language was awful. They would make you stand up and say stuff in the middle of the DFAC, and I've seen a couple people get really chewed out, and I was actually the cause of this one kid getting really chewed out.
What did you do?
I was on salad bar, and this kid tells me to F off, and I turn around, the drill sergeant's standing right there, like right there on the other side of the salad bar, and the drill sergeant's like, did he just tell you to F off? And I was like, yes, drill sergeant. And this kid just got the fear of God in his eyes. And then the drill sergeant there was like 3 drill sergeants like in this kid's face. Like it was the worst I've ever seen a kid get smoked, like all the way throughout basic training. They made him put his food down. They took him outside of the DFAC, smoked him, brought him back in and made him throw his tray away and all that. And then he went back to the CTA and ate an MRE instead of actually eating a good lunch.
Yeah, that never happened for us. Our drill sergeants, for the most part, like they say, Fort Jackson is relaxing Jackson. For most part, most of our drill sergeants were pretty lax. I think there was probably like about 3 drill sergeants that were just like, you know, total freaking buttholes the whole entire time. Like those were the type of drill sergeants you imagine to be in basic training. Like you don't make friends with them at all. You don't ever have a like simple conversation with them. Like anytime you talk to them, they're just like, what the freak are you doing? Like, why the heck are you talking to me? I'm not talking to you, so why the heck are you talking to me? And like literally one of my drill sergeants was like that. He was like, one time I went up to him and I asked him, I was like, drill sergeant, I got a question. And literally, the first words out of his mouth were, "What the F do you want, guy, you freaking idiot? Go away." And I was just like, "Yes, Drill Sergeant." I walked away, and it was like an insanely important question. But other than that, like for the most part, I think like all of his drill sergeants were like, you know, pretty like hardcore, and they were all kind of mean. I think I had probably like, there was 3 for each platoon. There's probably like 9 drill sergeants that were like chill, and then the other freaking 3 for the rest of the company, they were just shooting straight up buttholes. So my drill sergeants weren't that bad. You just had to know when to, you know, speak and when to just shut up, basically.
No, we had a drill sergeant who was like a really great teacher, and he was like really lax, like you said, like he was really relaxed, but like sometimes he would like flip out, and we'd be doing exercises for like hours. Like one day he came in and one person was asleep. It was kind of like a chill day. I think it was a Sunday actually. Yeah, it was a Sunday as a matter of fact. So I got back from church and everybody was just kind of chilling out around. We had just gotten our bench press and all, so you know people were messing around with that.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we had a bench press. We got it for the face testing. But so people were messing around with the bench press. This one kid was asleep behind his locker, and all you could see was his foot sticking out. And the drill sergeant walks into the room, sees this kid sleeping, and somebody had tied his shoes together. I guess just trying to be funny. I think I know who tied the shoes together. And the drill sergeant was like, "So this is what we do, men? Instead of waking up your battle buddy, you tie his shoes together." And then he went off on this whole spiel about how that would be in combat and how that would how that would work out with you.
Did y'all not get smoked for that?
Yeah, yes.
I was like,
it's getting there, trust me. So he makes us all stand up. This kid's still asleep, keep in mind. Okay? And he's like, 8 count push up, go. And we're sitting here doing the 8 count push up, and he's like, you guys are gonna be doing the 8 count push up until he wakes up. And so we're sitting here doing the 8 count push up. People are trying to like stomp on the floor when they get up so that he wakes up. It's not working. This kid is dead asleep, okay? Finally, like 10 or 15 minutes later after we're doing the 8 count push up, we're sweating. There's puddles of sweat all over the floor. This kid wakes up. So the drill sergeant's like, stop. Puts the kid in the middle of the room, in the middle of the kill zone, and is like, this guy would have gotten you all killed and all that. And then he makes everybody else do the 8 count push up for like 45 minutes while this kid stands in the middle. And then this other kid was caught sitting. He wasn't actually doing the 8 count push up. He was behind the pillar where the drill sergeant couldn't see him. And when the drill sergeant moved, he saw him. He made that kid stand up in the middle too while we all continued to do the 8 count push up. And it was a crazy day. It was crazy for a Sunday. I thought that was actually the first Sunday that we got smoked. It was like the beginning of white phase. And I thought that we couldn't really get smoked on Sundays because Sundays are usually pretty relaxed.
No, I got smoked every single day.
So like I was like, wow, Sundays are gonna be pretty cool, you know. I guess they can't smoke you that much. And then that Sunday just made me realize that they don't care.
Yeah, I know.
That's funny. For those of you, just a little bit of context, if you don't know what an 8 count push up is, it's kind of like a burpee and you do a push up and then just doing that over and over.
In cadence,
yeah.
though.
Yeah,
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So 8 count push up means there's 8 counts to doing the push up and the jump and everything. So that's kind of it is kind of funny that they tied his shoe together, but yeah, you don't want to do that kind of stuff in basic because
definitely not.
Did y'all
will get in trouble.
Did y'all sleep in your lockers?
We had people sleeping. One kid got caught sleeping in the locker, and he got caught by another platoon's drill sergeant because our drill sergeants weren't there. It was on a weekend. It was on like a Saturday, I think. He got caught sleeping in his locker, and he got counseled. And the drill sergeant came in there, and this drill sergeant, I mean, he was really funny. We had to do push-ups, and when we went down, we had to say "I will," and when we went up, he made us say this ridiculously long sentence. Like it was like 2 paragraphs long, and like people were messing up, and he was like, "We're gonna keep going until you guys remember the sentence." And so yeah, that's what happened when people slept in lockers. But it happened.
I got in my locker like once. I got in my locker and just like kind of stayed in there for like,
What the
I
heck?
don't know, like 30 minutes or something like that. And I was like, this is pretty nice. I was like, I kind of want to go to sleep. But I was like, no, I feel like I'm going to get caught. And so my friend, he saw me get out of my locker and he's like, what the heck were you doing in there? And I was like, oh, I was just like trying to sleep. And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty comfortable. So he gets in his locker. And this is like 2 hours before chow formation. he gets in his locker and he's like, wake me up in 10 minutes. And I'm like, all right. So I go off. Yeah, I think I went to the latrine or something, and I completely forgot about him. Like, he's my best friend, basically. I completely forgot about him. So he's sleeping in his locker for the next 2.5 hours, and we all go downstairs, get in formation and ready to go to chow, and we march down as a company down to the chow line.
Y'all didn't get accountability.
No, they didn't do accountability that time. Yeah.
No.
Literally, yeah, I know. We didn't do accountability.
Wait, you guys
that
ate
time.
chow and everything without him?
Yes. No. So sometimes the drill sergeants, it'll be like a reserve drill sergeant, and they won't do accountability. And they would just go out there.
Reserve drill sergeants.
Yeah, they would just they would go out there and they'd be like getting company formation, and we wouldn't even dress in cover or anything. And they would just be like right face and march us down there. And so we get down to the TFAC, and I'm like, where's Ziegler at? And I was like, I get down there with information, and I look at my friend and I go, CJ, did you wake up Ziegler? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm pretty sure Ziegler's still in the locker upstairs in the barracks. And he's like, are you freaking serious? I was like, yes. We thought he went somewhere.
Wait, did y'all lock the wall locker?
No, it was unlocked, but we thought he went somewhere, so I stayed down there.
Is Jackson, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
so I stayed down
Unsecured
there.
wall lockers.
Yeah, I stayed down there at the DFAC, and I was like, maybe he went somewhere, cause I wasn't really sure where he was. And next thing I know, about 5 minutes later, our platoon's about to go in the chow line, and I just see him sprinting down the sidewalk. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He gets down there and he goes, bro, why the frick didn't you wake me up? And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I forgot.
I can only imagine how terrified he was when he woke
yeah,
up and got out. Like, nobody was
he said he woke up and got out of his locker and saw there was nobody up here. And he said he sprinted downstairs with like his shoes in hand. Yeah, one of my drill sergeants would always just be like, Private, you're a freaking retard. And would just walk away.
Okay. Anybody who was in my company knows the drill sergeant who was like that all the time. All the time.
Yeah. That's pretty much how mine is.
Okay, so the final thing that we're going to talk about is the forge, and then whatever we call it over at Benning. We didn't call it anything. I don't know.
We had like FTX3, the rites of passage. People just kind of called it all the final week.
We had FTX 1, 2, and 3. The FTX 3 is the one that was like several days long. So the forge is something that I'm not familiar with. So Tim, like real quickly,
okay.
Like what the heck is the forge? What do you do? And then how long did it last?
Okay, so the forge was 3 nights and 4 days. And basically, your first March or whatever, like in the blue book, it says that you have to do a 16K or whatever, and I think that's what, like 12 miles or something like that.
16? No, that's not 12. That's like
16K is 10 miles.
10 miles, yeah. So in the blue book, it says like you have to do a 16K and it's 10 miles and it's 3 days and 4 nights. Well, what they don't tell you is within those 3 days and 4 nights, you're marching 50 plus miles. And so basically what the forge was for me was the first night you march up there and you do your 10 miles and then you're like, okay, we're good, and now we're just gonna go do obstacle courses and all that stuff, which was not the case at all. So the first night was the night that we did Nick at Night, and then from there on out, we literally marched everywhere, like 3 miles here, 4 miles there, 5 miles there, and my whole the forge for me or whatever, the 3 days and 4 nights ended up being 57.5 miles, which is like insane, like compared to like what most people do. I think my company marched the furthest. Most people did like 47 miles or 48 miles, which is still like pretty dang far. But so basically what the forge was just you going over everything that you learned in basic training and like you know, your medical stuff, like how to send a salute report. You practice that. Somebody would go out. You would go out in the woods in your teams. Yeah, whatever. You would go out in your team, like a team formation, whatever, like a wedge, and you would go out in the woods, and the drill sergeant would like say, "Boom, you're dead," and you would have to like take that person back.
My medevac.
Yeah, and then you would have to. Then we did obstacle courses. That was basically the main thing that we did during the forge. And then we also did Nick at Night and Pugils during that time period.
You did Pugils during?
Yeah, we did.
At the end?
What?
Yeah, no, we did. We did Pugils.
Did it like the end of the first
second
week or something? The second week?
Oh, we did it in white phase.
Yeah, we did Pugils the second or third day. I can't really remember, but yeah, we did Pugils during the forge, and everybody was pretty much like dead. So For us, they were basically just like, hey, if you want to freaking fight somebody that you don't like, get up there and fight them.
Oh, it was like grudge. It was the grudge match. We did that too.
And, so anyways, basically the forage was just consisted of 3 days, 4 nights, and you marched, or 4 days, 3 nights, my bad, and it was 57.5 miles. So yeah, it kind of sucked a little worse than his experience. So
yeah, we just real quick for me, like, we just did like the 16K, which was definitely more than 16K for our final ruck.
It was.
But like for the final ruck, for the final FTX, which we just call it like the final FTX, we did not ruck nearly that far, like whatsoever, like, so.
I mean, I don't know about you, but during our FTX3, it was kind of like, well, first off, the Sunday before, we had this like mission brief where we went into the battalion classroom. And they were like they had the Terracell named. It was like the Haqqani network, and we were in like some fake countries, Denovia and some other country.
Oh yeah, in RTC it's called Atropia.
Atropia was the other one. It was Atropia and Denovia. And they were like, well, the Haqqani is like feeding through Atropia, trying to smuggle drugs across the border, and it was like our job to suppress the Haqqani network or something like that. So pretty much what we had to do was we had to get on Monday morning. It was like full battle rattle before we went out there. Like we had on IOTVs, Kevlars, weapons. I had my 249 and my M4. It was in my ruck, and we had to get on the bus full of face paint and everything. And when we got off the bus, pretty much we marched to the it was called our FOB forward operation base. So we marched to the FOB, and we all lined up by platoon. They handed out ammo, and pretty much they told us what we were going to be doing that day. 3rd platoon was on duty week, so we luckily had a day where we could just focus on practicing battle tactics, like formations and stuff like that. Like wedge, file, column, all that. So we had a day where we could do that before we actually went out into the field. And that was kind of like our relaxed day, if you want to call it that. We were just pretty much like marching around in 106-degree heat, just marching around in wedge formations, practicing how to crossroads and all that. And pretty much what it was is like the FOB. There were like these rucking trails that went out. There were multiple lanes. There was 4 lanes total, 1 for each platoon. Pretty much we had 1 lane that wasn't being used every day, and then we had 3 platoons on the other lanes and 1 platoon back at the FOB. They were kind of like the communication platoon. All right, so pretty much what would happen was 1 platoon would stay back at the FOB. The other 3 would be on like a patrol, as they called it. But it was pretty much rucking the whole time. So you would ruck like super far, maybe like 2 miles there, set up a patrol base. You'd get ambushed usually on the way. It was kind of hard because they had this thing like you couldn't tell the difference between the civilians and the Haqqani. They all had AKs and they were all wearing, the full robes and everything.
Yeah.
So like one would not shoot at you and you'd be like, hey, are you gonna kill me? And then so pretty much what we do is there was a different, like for every lane that you went down, all 3 of them had a different objective. So like the first lane was like medevacs and all that, where like they would be like, boom, you're dead, boom, you're dead, boom, you're dead, calling 911 medevac. The next lane was like squad tactics, where we'd walk in a wedge, and we got ambushed by a machine gun. And then we had the last lane was break contact, which was like we were outnumbered and we had to break contact with who we were with. I was a 249 gunner. This really sucked for me because I was carrying around the 249 everywhere, and I had the bandolier with all the ammunition, and it had 200 rounds. So
So you carry around live ammunition?
No, it was blanks.
Oh, okay.
What the heck, Tim?
I'm just saying. We never even carry around blanks.
Yeah, we
Really?
shot.
Yeah, we never had blanks.
At night, we would get attacked by the drill sergeants and the Haqqani, or whatever.
Yeah.
And our drill sergeant would come around. Our drill sergeant was a pretty big guy. He was carrying a 240 and just like, ba 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 ba, you're all dead. You failed to challenge me or this, and they would throw those little
the sim
simulated
rounds.
artillery
The
rounds.
sim rounds, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they
Yeah.
use.
And then in the mornings, their favorite time to throw CS gas was in the mornings. And one morning, the company XO comes up and he's like, "Good morning, guys." And everybody's like, "Good morning, sir." And then nobody saw him drop the CS gas because he kind of just dropped it and like turned around and walked off. And then next thing you know, we were all just like out of there. CS gas everywhere. And it was all on our food and everything because it was on the sand and it was getting kicked up.
That's nice. So basically Moses' binning experience was definitely more similar to mine than Tim's. Cause like you were basically doing operations throughout the whole thing. Like you did like pugils at yours, which still blows my mind.
Yeah, we did urban ops and like
which is
what you do when you do other stuff, like how to react to contact and all that.
Which is just crazy. But this video has been going on long enough, but it was pretty fun. It was pretty interesting for me, just like hear these two guys talk about their little stories and different Jackson binning things and all that stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. So we might have another video coming in the next day or so with these guys. We're gonna talk about some other stuff. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you don't already follow me on Instagram and Snapchat, the link I think is right. That's actually probably shouldn't point right there, but it's like right here where I've been sitting. But yeah, if you guys have not hit the notification bell button, hit that notification bell button, and I'll see you guys later.